guys, in an effort to stiffen up these rear fenders like I did the front fenders. Up front, I laid in some strap steel and fiberglassed over it, and it made it stout, strong like bull. And I'm kind of afraid at a car show, like somebody may want to run up and think they're helping, and they may push on the fender or something and crack the fiberglass, break something off. I don't know, but I like to try and think ahead and take care of things. And I noticed that they do flex some from when I've been picking the body up, moving it around. So I figured I got some leftover 1/2-inch round stock that I used on the Indian chopper clone project. You can see that on a different, in my videos on YouTube here. And I bent it up, I got it to lay in there nice, and the reason for the body filler, and you can see a little bit of round stock in the middle there, and you'll see it when I do the other side. I had taken my big vice grips here to hold it down, and then I body filled just these sides, and that held it in place pretty good, and then I went ahead and you saw me put a body filler over the middle. So what the body filler does is it's tough, if this is laying on a flat surface, it's tough to get fiberglass to lay over and around it. And it's kind of like a squash composite, I don't know. But I do the fiberglass, because the body filler, I'm sorry, I keep saying fiberglass. I do the body filler and I'll smooth it out and sand it, and I'll lay fiberglass up right over this and thicken this up. And with that piece of steel rod in there, that's not going anywhere. So that's what we're doing. So I got this all done. I got to just scuff it, sand it out nice, make it smooth, and I can fiberglass this up. So what we'll do now, I guess, is we're going to bend this bad boy up and set it up for the other side. Alright guys, that's that. So that's the one side, all fiberglass, my 1/2-inch round stock steel rod encased in body filler and then fiberglassed over. I just finished this side, so I'll let this cure up, and we'll move on to those little tabs on the front headlight pods. We'll get them all countersunk in and glassed over next. Alright guys, what I'm going to do is trace around all my tabs so I know right where I want to hog out this material so I can sink these things in a little bit lower. I just wrote on them a little bit so I know which one is which side and top and bottom. So I guess we can leave them hooked up to the little headlights. which are actually 57 Oldsmobile parking light assemblies. Body filler to shove in here, and this is obviously going to squeeze a lot of it out, but I'm hoping it fills in with a little bit of a gap there may or may not be. And when I go to clean up and sand this smooth, it should keep a level surface for all this to line up on. That's what I'm hoping for, at least. Alright guys, I think it looks pretty good. I got the lower two tabs here. Actually, because the body's upside down, they're the upper tabs. And it's a lot easier to get the fronts and everything with the body this way. So I'm going to get these other two here when I flip the body back over, so I can get around there, and gravity will help me with the fiberglass resin. I'm going to go ahead and do the two tabs on the other side of the car and get that knocked out and out of the way. And I also have to run some conduit in here for some electrical wiring, for like the switches to make the bubble go up and down and things like that. So I'll get that ready and I'll get that prepared, and we'll start laying in some I think I got some old steel electrical conduit. We'll just use that. I'm going to use what I got laying around. So let me knock out that side, we'll get back and start doing the other stuff. Alright, I've got a length of steel conduit I already cut off a longer length, left over from, I don't even remember. But we're going to use this to run our wiring. And this is the side that in the headlight pod, if you remember about the Beatnik Bandit, is like a TV aerial or a radio aerial, and Ed used that to click it as a switch for the bubble to go up and down. So I'm not going to really wire this car to run and drive, but for little kids at car shows, I want to make that work. I could put that switch anywhere, but that's where Ed had it, so I kind of feel obligated to try and make that work. So I also have to make up a bracket and everything in here, inside that pod area, to hold the switch and then mount up the aerial to it, and I'll have to figure all that out, I don't know, in my subconscious when I'm dreaming. But for the meantime, I got this piece of plywood laminated in here. I'm going to have to drill a hole through there, because there's only going to be maybe one or two small wires running through here. I'll drill a hole through the wood. I'm going to have to grind some of the fiberglass back. I'll take this and I'm going to shove body filler in here in 2 or 3 spots, and I'll shove this right in there like so. And then the body filler will get hard and hold that in place, and then I can laminate that. That's it in the Reader's Digest condensed version, I guess. So let's go ahead and get at it. That should be pretty good right there, just like that. So when that body filler cures, I'll go in there, I'll scuff it up with a piece of like 40 or 36 grit, and I'll just lay up some, you don't need a lot, just a little bit of fiberglass mat, and it'll hold it right there. It ain't gonna go nowhere. So if my switch is there, I can run the wire through here, through the little hole in the plywood, and I'll have to run another length of conduit back there, but you don't need to see me do this 16 times. So we'll just make the one pass in this one piece, and you guys will get the idea. Ed used to cut little like 2-inch long sections, and he'd run them like every so many inches and run the wiring through it that way. For me, I'm just gonna run that long piece, it's a lot easier. So, woo! And like I said, not gonna be much wiring in this car anywho, so, but I gotta let this fiberglass cure and set up. I'm gonna let this set up, I'll laminate it, and like I say, the rest of it. Then we gotta get this body flipped so I can take care of the rest of the headlight tabs. Making a bend in the conduit, guys, and well, I've got a conduit bender and I've got other benders and stuff, but maybe all you guys don't have that. So I have a paint stand here. Wait for that to fall. I got a paint stand that I made out of an old car rim. It's adjustable, but you can see on the edges here where I weld steel, and there's a small piece of steel that can go in there, a bigger diameter goes in here, and I just bend it around the rim. Sometimes it's just a lot easier, but there you go. So let's go cut that to size and fit it in the back of the car. All right, gang, so what I got figured here is I'm gonna have my switch right around over in here, where I'm gonna be able to put my finger underneath the car here. They moved that in frame. And as I'm pushing the car, I can click it to steer. So I'm figuring the wiring is going to go through here, drop down into that. And then the piece we just bent will go over here. And I'll blast that in, and then it'll just go around over to where I'm going to have my fuse block and all my other wiring. All right, guys. I thought I had some great film footage, but apparently when I thought I turned the camera on, I actually turned it off. And then, when I went to turn it off, I actually turned it on, and then I burnt up a whole memory card of like an hour worth of footage while I went and did something else. But, okay, let's go back to it. Let me get up close and I'll show you. I got one of these toggle switches, and, you know, that's what we need for it to bubble to go up and down, and I machined this one. And I machined it a little too small, so I went ahead and did the other one. And I had the lathe running, I had some nice film footage of that. At least I thought I did. So you guys don't get to see that. But I got this. And the other switch is disassembled, but here you go. That's the toggle attached to the aerial. This one I got pretty good. I don't know if you can see how much I didn't get it pushed down because I kind of did a press fit, a machine fit, but that's on there real good now, man. So I'm feeling pretty stout about this. And I did all the math and I got these all to sit in the graduations kind of the way Ed did. And I'm looking at photographs. What do I know? So let's put this toggle switch back together and check it out. I'm going to consider this pretty freaking dreamy. So I'm actually really excited. Can you tell? That's pretty cool. So now I've got to get this to just sit just at the fiberglass on the body. So only that aerial shows. And I got to get that just perfect. So that means this is going to have to go in. I'm going to have to set up a bracket and make sure it's all, there's not a lot of room to work in there. And then I got to glass it in. I may have to put this on its own bracket, laminate a bracket in with studs so I can adjust it, the height up and down and in and out. That might be the smart thing to do. We got to figure it out as we go along. Now what I need to do is take the other aerial, because that has to stick on the other headlight pod, and maybe just get a threaded rod in there, just a stud so I can screw it on, because that one's fixed, it doesn't operate anything. But that's pretty cool, man. All right, guys. I have a solution. I took some strap steel and I bent it up, and that little switch just sits right on this. So when this goes in the car, it'll go right up against the fiberglass like so, with just enough the aerial sticking out. Now, I also ground off the face of this to get it as close as possible to that little pivot point. What I may end up having to do is go in with a rat tail file and oblong it up and down so this doesn't, hit and want to move the bracket. And if you look, this piece of strap steel has a very slight arch to it, and then this is bent a little past 90 degrees, so it sits right in there nice. It follows the body line and everything. And I blew a couple holes in here, because if anybody remembers, I laminated a piece of pine furring strip into the underside of the body. Now you can just see the strip of wood right here. So on the other side of the car, I'm going to put this down and I can run 2 1/4-20 bolts through there. Now, in order to use 1/4-20 bolts in a piece of wood, you have to buy what they call wood inserts. Now I'll try and hold this up to the camera. I only got just enough to do the job, but I want to lose one, and it goes to that special place where 10mm sockets and 1/2" wrenches disappear to. So this will thread into the wood. Is that going to focus for you guys? That threads into the wood, and on the inside there is a 1/4-20 thread. So I'll set this up, I'll blow a couple holes in the wood, and then at the proper drill size, and then you use like a regular screwdriver, you get this into the wood, and then you can bolt in and out of it. It works fine. I use these to bolt my my bubbles, to the piece of plywood I use to make the bubble top rings. So let's go ahead and we'll install this puppy. Now for the other antenna on the other side, I got the same deal. But I set this in the car and I positioned it and everything. I was debating if I should, you can see this one too has got a little bit of a bend and it comes down and goes up, to make that sit just so in the car. And this will go in, it'll slide right through there. And then with a nut on either side, I can adjust the depth of it this way. Now one thing I may have to do is, I thought about fiberglassing this into the car, but I'm going to do the same deal. I'm going to use 2 bolts and put it in, and then this way, if I need to take it in and out a few times, this may sit like this a little bit, let's say, and it's not right. So I'll go in and I'll oblong this hole so I can make an adjustment to move this up or down. Hey, it's not something, it's just it just sits there to look cool. So if I do that, and it's not going to be it'll be fine. Hey, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Everything's okay. It'll be fine. All right, gang, so I've got both of my brackets made up that are gonna bolt underneath those Fender things above the headlight pods. And I'll show you what I got. Put this one in my pocket so I can show you in a wee bit. But this is the one with the switch for the bubble top. Now, you saw me bolt up these two here, but I had to go in and add some more a little bracket like this welded to a piece of strap steel. And I did that famous little deal where I ground up the fiberglass, I blobbed some body filler and I stuck it on there. And I held it bolted together. And I'm like, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Arkansas, 5 Delaware. So, and then it held in place. I took this bracket off. Then I went in and cleaned it all up and fiberglassed it all in. So now it's not going anywhere. So then I could go in and I could move. This was flexing. This was like, if I hit the switch, it would push it this way or this way from this point to this point. So I'm like, I got to do something about that. So I added this little piece in here, and I would kind of have a pair of needle nose vice grips on there, and I'd try this and still move, and it would move it down a little, and I got it just right. And then I put this, because of the leverage on here, the length, I put this little tidbit in there. Again, is it over-engineered? Yes. Yes, it is. Is it too much and over the top? Of course it is. But it bolts in, it fits. Our switch works. I love this, because this is just like, it's the stupidest thing, but I'm like, this is what when you go out, Ed Roth, well, when Ed Roth, would be at a show and he'd be like, oh, the bubble goes up and down. A little kid must have been like, oh my God, my brain is melting. So yeah, I'm really digging this. And the other side, for the other aerial, let me put that down. I made this up, and I had to tweak it and bend it a little bit, but it bolts in good. And I set it up with this tab here, and that piece of thread around the nuts. Well, here you are. So when I get it in the car, I can adjust it like that, and then tighten these up to keep it where it's got to be. So I know that the length is the same as the other side, that I can't do anything about. So this here will make up the difference on that. So I thought that was kind of a trick too. So I'm going to go ahead and bolt these two pieces in. I'll take the camera and I'll try and show you what they look like and everything. And I guess that pretty much wraps up all of the ugly underbelly stuff I've got to do on the Beatnik Bandit clone. All right, guys, this tab back here, I got it all fiberglassed in and everything, and I trimmed it back. And that's going to be sweet, because then I can just shove my hand under here, and I'll steer the car by just going like that with my finger. Because I'm pretty sure I can get my hand into there, and that shouldn't be any big deal. You can see here, guys, got my 2 bolts holding that strap steel in, and I've already adjusted it right up front here. So I got the nut in the here, one here, and that's holding it in pretty good. So that's how that one will stay. Let's move on over to the other side. You can see how much more involved this one is. My 2 bolts here, and this is all laminated in from the tab I made there, this side, the piece going across, and the switch all the way up front. And she works just fine. So that's going to be great, and that's going to work terrific. All right, so a lot of work, and hey, it's got to get done. Some of this stupid little stuff, but it's done, it's over with. Like I say, I just got to get a hand, and I got to flip this body back up and over. So I got to get somebody over to give me a hand with this, and then we'll at least see it right side up. Yeah, hey, what's up? Hey, any chance you can give me a hand flipping the body of the Beatnik Bandit back over? Yeah. Oh, all right. You always do your hair on Monday? Oh, all right. I'll give somebody else a try. Thanks a lot, man.